When you become ill, you'll generally become better shortly after contracting the disease, as your immune system fights off any infection within your body. But there are a few diseases and/or infections that go completely undetected by the immune system and also have no cure. They're 100% fatal. What makes this even worse is that the diseases are not only incurable, but they act so incredibly quickly that upon contraction, the life expectancy can be less than a year, made even scarier from the fact that these diseases can be caught at any point in time. Some of the most common types of these diseases are currently running rampant in the elderly population, showing no sign of backing down and slowing. But other variants are springing to life, too, showing a massive increase in the number of people dying, which doubled in the last 40 years in America. These are prion diseases, and they are one of the most scariest illnesses that you could contract tomorrow. So, what are prion diseases and why are they so lethal? Well, the main forms in which a human can contract them is either genetically, through radiation or similar things, or eating infected tissue from animals which already has a prion itself. Now, prions are nasty little misshapen proteins. They bypass DNA and RNA transcription because they don't contain genetic material, but they also act as a catalyst for the production of more prions, causing healthy proteins to alter their structure, becoming misshapen themselves. A single infected prion will bind to a healthy protein, catalysing its conversion into a prion, as stated through the heterodimer model. So now, more and more prions begin to arise in the body. On their own, they can't really do too much, and it can take a rather long time for the disease to become known to the person with the prions. As a matter of fact, the lymph nodes are where this disaster actually begins. You see, the lymph nodes are what filters out harmful substances in your body. They filter out antigens and toxins. You have about 700 of them. And within your lymph nodes are a type of cell called dendritic cells. Now, let's go a little bit deeper. Prions are exceptionally hard to destroy and will often circle around the body as they're not being used. On their own, they are useless. But during their travels, they may encounter a dendritic cell. This is a white blood cell that is responsible in the immune response. They're phagocytes, and when presented a foreign microbe, they'll consume and ingest it, eventually digesting them, and wearing the antigens of the toxin so that antibodies can start treating the illness. When the prion undergoes phagocytosis, just like any other molecule, it will be consumed and stored in the dendritic cell vesicle. But the same response doesn't happen. Usually viruses and bacteria are successfully destroyed by the acid the vesicle uses, which is called lysosome. It's incredibly strong, yet still not enough to take down a prion. It's resistant because it was once a good protein, and the body doesn't want to kill it. Now, the dendritic cell is completely full of prions. Over time, they'll gradually break free of the vesicle cage and enter the full body of the dendritic cell. Here they'll perform the same process, interacting with healthy dendritic cell proteins and causing them to misfold until it's completely stuffed with infected proteins or prions. Eventually, the new dendritic cell will cross the blood-brain barrier, damaging vast quantities of neurons present here, and when the brain loses its neurons, the typical symptoms of prion diseases arise. These can be like dementia, or the ones seen in Parkinson's disease. However, further damage is then done. With prions present in the brain, the microglia will cause the rapid production of neurotoxic cytokines, which are responsible for inflammation within the brain. Such cytokines include TNF-alpha and IL-IB, which by themselves are known to kill the brain's neurons. Over time, these neurons rapidly deplete as the prion keeps multiplying and more infected dendritic cells cross the barrier. These proteins will rapidly decrease the concentration of healthy proteins and clump together within the brain and spinal cord. This is actually where the greatest concentration of prions are usually found in those succumbing to the diseases. And it's also why the majority of cases do start from infected meat, where the brain or lymph nodes were the thing that was consumed. Once the clumping starts, it's safe to say that the infected person has little time left. Their brain will rapidly deteriorate until that's it, they die. So this is how prion diseases work, and yes, it's terrifying. But how long have they been infecting people? There are several different types of prion diseases, and this video will hope to address most of them. Each of them tends to come from the consumption of a different infected animal. For example, potentially the most sinister is called Kuru, which arises from the consumption of infected human meat. commonly the brain or spinal cord of the body. Kuru was first discovered in 1957 by Carlton Gajdusek. He had travelled to Papua New Guinea to investigate a disease that was killing a lot of natives. Their brains were progressively deteriorating over a 6-month period. In the rural villages of Papua New Guinea, it mainly seemed to infect closely tied families, so Gajdusek and other scientists thought it was genetic. But the disease, if it was genetic, would have wiped out the entire village by now, and even more of a larger population. Upon further examination, transmitting the tissue into chimpanzees, Gajdusek found that the disease is a result of mortuary cannibalism, the practice of eating the dead. In this rural village, when someone dies, it was found that they were turned into a banquet, often eaten by the women, children and elderly, which is where most prion diseases were seen. This led to the disease being called Kuru, which translates to trembling in fear, describing loss of motor functions seen. Cannibalism was eventually outlawed in New Guinea in 1959, and Gajdusek won the Nobel Prize in Medicine. But in fact, there are also some prion diseases that you can't avoid. Gerstmann-Straussler-Scheinker disease, or GSS, is another incredibly rare illness. Unlike Kuru though, it doesn't involve eating infected tissue. Instead, it's hereditary. It's passed down through generations in only a few families around the world. These lineages will have abnormal variants of the prion protein gene, thus encoding their proteins incorrectly. Eventually, those in the family will have their brains filled with prions and developing stereotypical symptoms as seen in most other prion-based illnesses. Interestingly though, it mainly sprouts once the patient reaches 40. Unfortunately though, there's still no cure, and this therefore produces some sort of ethical dilemma. Should these people be having children, knowing what's to come of them? I'll let you think about that one in the comments below. And this isn't all of them. We have prions even closer to home. For example, mad cow disease became a massive health concern in the UK. When someone was to eat the infected cattle, they would get variant Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, which sees someone lose their memory, changes in their personality, slurred speech, vision problems, random movements, and progressive loss of brain function and mobility. Epidemiological studies suggested that the disease began in South Africa upon the importation of antelope to a British safari park in 1970. Scientists soon figured that this antelope was ground into cattle feed, and then the prions it contained were ingested by the cows, which in turn infected humans upon consumption. The EU banned British beef exportation across the continent, which lasted 10 years. Thousands of cows were slaughtered, and 165 people in the UK lost their lives. But this wasn't enough. The infected cattle were then found in France in 2000, then Germany, and soon remaining countries of the EU. The US and Canada soon found their cows also infected, and to this very day, cases are still arising. But variant CJD is just one type of the disease, and others are still cropping up too. In fact, Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease was first discovered in 1922 by Walter Spielmeyer. It's still a rare disease, but yes, the number of people developing it is rising. Unlike other prions, this one's sporadic. You can get it tomorrow and you won't even know you've been given the death sentence. Yet CJD can also be inherited genetically if one parent has the abnormal prion. Typically one with CJD will have the following symptoms: loss of physical coordination, twitches, poor bladder control, swallowing problems, no concentration and memory, paranoia, which lasts until the final symptoms of being completely bedridden, becoming completely unaware of their surroundings until they die. Up until 2001, no one who developed the condition reportedly lived longer than 2.5 years after the onset of CJD, until Jonathan Sims reportedly lived 10 years following his diagnosis. Now, no treatment exists for CJD, but Sims' case provided revolutionary knowledge. After a legal battle, his parents won the right to try an experimental drug called pentosan polysulfate, or Elmaron. Despite a lengthy argument with surgeons, Sims was eventually given it, and his condition did improve somewhat over 6 months, before deteriorating again. Elmaron has been tried again in mice with scrapie, another prion disease, and found to generally lengthen their lives. But in humans, 12 more trials saw 1 death, 5 further deteriorations, and 6 stabilizations, making it a bit of a gamble if we should continue doing it. Other than this, there exists little knowledge of any other treatment for prion diseases. At the moment, it is still practically a death sentence. But here's some good news. With prions becoming more known, our food standards are ever more increasing. The chances of you getting one are very, very slim, as long as you're not eating your own family. Hopefully soon we can find a treatment to aid those suffering and eradicate these killer diseases forever. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed. It's free and it really helps me out. See you next time.